Well, welcome friends and viewers, new subscribers. It's old Donnie. Spring is almost here, but it's been a rough winter for me. And I'm still recouping here from this surgery I had to do on my leg. But I'm not on a walker and I ain't on a cane. I am hobbling around on my own now and getting better. Every few days I'm feeling a big difference. So only problems I'm having is just nerve pain. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here because I miss being out in the woods so bad. And I miss the metal detector. I miss my little animal friends out there too. I miss them real bad. I'm not even able to get up there to get to the cameras, but it's not far off. I'll get back into that. But anyway, this is the perfect time of year to be swinging out there in the woods there looking for finds. They're out there. History is laying in the ground everywhere. All you got to do is find it. But anyway, I just want to share this little video today. It's just encounters that I've had and experiences and adventures that I've had out in these old woods. And I want to share with them today since I can't make a video out in the woods, so I thought I'd share this with you today. Now, I love the metal detector. And what I use is a Equinox 600. Right here it is. And it's done me a real good job. It's not an 800. And it is waterproof. And the little pointer I use, everybody asks me, what's that little orange thing you're using, Donnie? Well, that's the pointer. That's after you find your target with your metal detector. You get down on the ground and then you pinpoint it to dig it up. Without it, it'd be real hard. You'd have to keep going back and forth with your big one. But anyway, that's what I use, and it does me a good job. Now, there's a lot of great metal detectors out there. Garrett makes so many different brands and so many different models. They're a good one, too. So, it don't have to be an Equinox. This is just something that I chose, and it's done me a good job. It's real complicated, but you get used to it as time goes on, no matter how you set it up. So, there you go. But now, out here metal detecting, you people that watch this channel, I've got 164 metal detecting videos in the playlist on this channel. Check them out. There's plenty. Yep. And now I'll tell you one thing. If you do a lot of metal detecting, if you're not finding trash, you're not metal detecting. And yes, you'll find some coins. You'll find some cool and neat stuff of history. It's out there, I'm telling you. But you're going to find a lot more trash than you are the good stuff. That's just metal detecting. But now me, the biggest thing is getting permission in these places. You can go to a place and start finding coins right off the bat if you're lucky to get permission in certain places. But it's not that way. Back in the old days, you could just, like hunting or anything else, you could just walk across these farms and people be on their porch and say, hey, how you doing out there? You doing any good today? And it's just like that. But them days is way gone. Now people don't want you on their land. It's private, posted. They put you in jail for trespassing. So you got to get permission. That's the biggest problem. And like these old places like this that I metal detect, I've metal detected an old 1840 plantation house. It's a beautiful place. And I want to go back there so bad, but I've not got permission to go back. I spent about 2 hours metal detecting there and found some few coins and some things, but not no really old coins. I know they're laying there, but getting permission. And these old places, even old houses, I metal detect that. Even the really old houses. And then there's these old farms. These old cabins is still there. I've got to places like that and find some good old stuff. But I like to be out in these woods. There's where the history is around here in East Tennessee. There's so many things that happened here between the Native Americans and the settlers and the people settling in here. Even old Davy Crockett's come down these ridges here close to me. And I've been finding some of his old musket balls. I can't prove it, but it's the same caliber, and it ain't far down the road from me. So that's what I think. So I want you to look here today. I'll show you some of the finds, and I'll show you some of the places and some of the weird stuff and the mystery places that I've been in. So I hope you enjoy. I'll just show you some of the countryside, some of these old mountain ridges that I do metal detect. But not only metal detecting, I love to explore. Don't even have a metal detector with me. I'm just exploring these old roads and old maps, find stuff like this. And people don't understand. These hunters and all this, they just walk up and down these ridges, and most of them's not even touched anymore. There's so much history right beneath your feet. And it's so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful in places. But this time of year is kind of snaky. I like it this time of year. Right after hunting season, before the starts being spring and the snakes get out, you've got it to yourself. This old country, full of old wagon roads, old houses, cabin sites, nobody even knows they're forgotten about. And I find old stuff like that in these ridges, and it's just so peaceful and so beautiful in here. You've got it to yourself. How much do you want to walk? There's just so much to country, so much country to travel. And you'll find old places like this. Times gone by, families, struggles, old homes, times of back in the old days that's forgotten about. Here's an old chimney with a tree growing up the middle of it that's collapsed. Just old history. What's happened here? Who lived here? And I find stuff like this exploring. At an old cabin site, there's an old rock chimney. Middle of nowhere. Just walked up on it. You'd never know it was there unless you walked right up on it. Old places, old foundations. Back in the settler days, people first come in this country. The struggles they had, trying to raise a family, trying to defend yourself from the Native Americans, and trying to scratch out a living in these old woods, these old ridges. You find stuff like this, stuff they've left behind. So much laying in these mountains, so much history, and I love to find it. And a lot of times I find old places, there's nothing left. Metal detected, and you'll find stuff like this, old cauldron parts, old plow parts, old blades, old tool implements of all kinds. And a lot of times back in these ridges, I'll try this so far back in there, if I get permission, I'll take the four-wheeler back in there. I'm getting too old to walk too far anyway, but a lot of times you gotta walk. So I'll just disappear back into these old woods. But this is where the history's at, and this is where I want to be. Just disappear from civilization. And you get in these old places, used to be old fields, old home places that's growed up, forgotten about, and you'll find stuff. It's just laying there, just waiting for somebody to find it, to remember it. But I love to find these old shotgun shell babies. Some of these are 130 years old. Really relics. A lot of people want to throw them away metal detecting, but this is part of our history as anything else. And I really love to find them. They make great displays too. I found 400 or 500 of them, or maybe even more. I love them. You can see them here. I've got so many videos on them.
Old shotgun shells, some's 120, 130 years old, 110. Old shells of our old pioneers. And there ain't nothing better getting out on these ridges on a cool, foggy morning in the wintertime and finding old history. Here's an old roadbed I'm working. Went across the top of this ridge gap. How many times has this been crossed with an old wagon, working back and forth across these ridges? But it's laying there. I find stuff like this too. I thought this was something part of a suspenders or something on an old farm or something, but I got to studying a lot more. And it matches stuff like this. This is not mine. These are somebody else's finds. This is old Civil War badges and implements from a Civil War camp around Bean Station. It's not mine. But this old suspender part matches this, don't it? And I get around these old rocks. There's a lot of rocks in these old ridges. They don't call it Rocky Top in Tennessee for nothing. And I mean, it's full of rocks. And I just prowl in there trying to find what's hidden, what's forgotten, what's been left. Most of the time I work these little old rock ledges on these ridges. I don't find anything, but I probe every one I can come across. Sometimes I find some pretty good stuff in them. Here's a time where I found some old Civil War mini balls, Civil War bullets, under a little rock shelter. I guess the weather never really hits it. Who knows what happened in history here? Did some old soldier on patrol or on guard duty cross this ridge, lose some bullets? You don't never know.
No iron.
That's gone,
18 to 19.
forgotten in time.
See what that is.
But anyway, here's a little clip of me finding a couple. I done found one. I'm fixing to find another one right here.
Where's the finder? Right here somewhere. There he rocks.
A lot of time has passed.
There's rocks in here. Under more rocks. Yes. Lodged down in them rocks, whatever it is. Lost it. Another bullet, same thing. Same thing. Looks like an old mini ball. Old crud and stuff. Yeah. Hauling back just like the other one. This one hadn't hit nothing though. Good place to hunker down out of the weather. Well, see if there's anything else here. Rock ledge. I'll show them to you. There's both of them under this rock ledge. You see they're hollow in it. 3 ringers. So right along this ridge on this old rock shelter ledge here. That's a good find. I'd like to find some more of them. I ain't found no Indian arrowheads yet. But
Remember,
you
when you
can't
metal
detect
detect,
them.
I always find a place, leave the place
Just
like
have
you
to
found.
see them. So I'm gonna scrounge around here a little bit. See if there's anything like that in here.
Now here's an old chart of Civil War bullets, of what they look like, their shapes and rings. And here's what I'd found, a couple of. This matches that awful well, don't it? So we don't know the story, how these got here. It's always a mystery. And ain't nothing better getting these old woods in late winter, early spring, where the snakes get out, and listen to these old turkeys, these big hollers. So peaceful. You just don't know what's laying in here over time. And it always amazes me. In early spring, it's still beautiful. Listening to the animals, listening to nature. Nothing better. And I love to get around these biggest old timbers I can find. Most have been logged, but some haven't. There's where your history's at. And these old woods, even when it's snaky or not, I love it. Listen to nature. What peace. And here's an old pine I'd found when I first started metal detecting 4 years ago.
There. Look there.
An old knife.
Cave or something under there. Big hole between the rocks.
Down in between the rocks.
I mean, this hole. What in the world?
And that baby was down in there too.
That looks like.
How did this get there?
My goodness.
Old pocket knife. Over a foot deep in the ground. It's got 3 blades. I can't tell what it is, but I don't know if we could open it up. Maybe an old case or something. So now this old knife had ivory handles on it. It took me some time to research it, but I had to take it apart. It was so rusty, wouldn't open. It's a Humphreys Radiant, made in Sheffield, England. I dated it back to the mid-1800s. Some old hunter, farmer long ago lost this. That is a mystery. How did it get there? And I work these old rocks too, especially in the wintertime when I know the snakes is not out laying under there looking at me. And there's history to be found here. I just know it. Here, find an old coin.
That was a 26. Good high tone.
Oh, it'd be good. Lucky to find a coin again, wouldn't it? So much rock. There's a coin. Sure enough. That was high tone. Look at this. It looks like a dime. Right there. Let me see what this looks like. My goodness, what luck.
If you can see this thing. I don't dare scrape on it with no. Well, is that not a mercury dime? Well, here's what it looks like cleaned up. This is just one of many coins I've found in these old areas, but they're far and few in between in these ridges, but they're there. How did they get there? And I find all kinds of old bullets too, of all kinds. Here I've cleaned them up, especially an old place called Bullet Ridge. I thought it was maybe a Civil War battle site or something, a little skirmish, but I don't think it was. And here I found even an old cartridge that I had a hard time dating. There's the cartridge there, and here's what I found on it. 128-year-old cartridge, 1892 Winchester, 3220. You don't see them anymore, do you? That's a rarity. And here's an old find, showing some of the finds from a few years ago. Been about 3 years since I've updated, but you can see all the different bullets of all styles. Here's musket balls. That are musket balls right there. Lead, camp lead, found, all kinds of stuff. Belt buckles, there's the old knife, some old coins. There's an old spindle whorl, what they used to spin wool with back in the old days before sewing machines and stuff. Just old rare stuff in the woods come out of the ground. Not in no yard, in these ridges. There's an old hunter's trap. Back in a rock. I guess an animal drug it back in there and died. There it is. Rusted away. Old axes. And yes, them old shotgun shells. Of all kinds. I've even got videos on how to clean them. 'Cause I find so many of them, you try to clean them. And there it is. Here's an old video on all the old shotgun shells itself. All the old finds and the dates on them. I love to find them. And all the other little assortments here of all kinds. Old stove parts, horseshoes, axes, an old petrified stump there I found. Just old stuff. And this is a three-year-old showing finds here. The oldest penny I'd ever found was in 1883. Back in his ridge. I've got video on that. And yeah, the oldest nickel I'd ever found was a 1912 B nickel. In good shape too, in these rocks. And yes, I have found gold in this ridge, but not the gold you would think. This looks like a watch bob chain or a necklace, 14 karat gold. So there is some stuff in these ridges, just taking the time to find it. And I have been in these old woods. Strangest thing I've ever had, in the middle of nowhere, somebody holler my name and nobody there. I've heard that twice in these ridges, but nobody there, even when you answer them back. But the main thing I ever see, you think somebody's watching you, and it'll be a wildlife watching you, it seems like. When I get that feeling, I'll look up, there'll be a deer standing there looking at me. Just as curious of me as I am of it. But oh, ain't they beautiful. Just love to see it. And every once in a while, I'll slip up on some deer. All at once they'll just start moving and didn't even know it. Or heard of them. Ain't they beautiful? So precious, nature. And the little squirrels back in these ridges. I'm so far back in here that nobody hunts. These squirrels don't even know what a man is, mostly. But boy, they was hunted way long ago for dinner time. Beautiful. And I have walked up on an owl one time in a tree in the morning. What's he doing out? Little young owl. Ain't he pretty? Beautiful little owl. He was curious of me as I was of him. So beautiful. But late, early spring, This is what I don't like to see. Here's a snake. You don't want to step on it. That's a garter snake. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. But still, seeing them. Like I said, I'm not scared of snakes. It's that first few seconds, the shock of seeing them. After that's over with, they're in trouble if I want to get rid of them. But they've got their place too, and they're not poisonous, so I'm not going to bother them. But what bothers me is the ones that you can't see, you step on, or that's the ones that bothers me. And yeah, I've dug them up too.
There's a 15 to a 16.
Sit right down on them.
That acts like a shotgun.
Didn't even know it.
There's a lot of barbed wire in here too. So. Just don't know.
That's me scratching one up. I'm gonna slow it down and show it one more time right here.
This is the rockiest places I ever seen.
You see him there? Look there. He went right up under me. Biggest thing about it is, I didn't even see it at the time. That's what scares me. And yeah, I've dug up an old green snake too. That figures. The reason I didn't get up in these rocks, you can see right there. A black, or little green snake. My goodness, get on out of here. Come on. They won't hurt you, but they scare the crap out of you. I walked up on a big old black snake one day. Big old black snake. Don't like seeing that at all. But they good for the poisonous snakes. They take care of them. So he's not bothering me. I'm not gonna bother him. I wouldn't want to sit down on him. That's for sure. He's a big one though. That sucker's 8 foot long. We're gonna leave him alone. But there ain't nothing better than swinging this old detector. Just what history, what mystery are we walking over? No, I can't find no Native American arrowhead. Of course, you can't pick them up with the detector, and nobody plows anymore, so there's nearly no fields to look for them. But I wanted to show you caves in this too. This is the biggest mystery that I've been in so many caves. I'll show it the next time in another video. If not, this would be another 30 minutes long. And I've been in a bunch of caves. So I'll show this in another video. The caves and the mysteries of all these caves.
Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this little video. There's just so much out there. I just love being in the woods. Even if I don't even find anything, I love just being in them woods. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have fun. God bless, and I'll see you next time.